So the reason why she wasn't, you never heard much about her, is she never wanted her name anywhere.
Okay.
She had opportunities to have her name on buildings. She chose not to. She believed that you can be silent and make a bigger impact at times than if you're louder or you have your name on a building. Now, there's reasons why her name is on some donor or patron walls, because she believed that might encourage others. But other than that, she was a very, very private person.
What's going on, Sarasota? As always, my name is Brad Hannon.
I'm Trey Martell.
And we're coming to you with episode 121 of the Sarasota SpeaX podcast. We've got an amazing guest on today, doing some amazing things for the Toulmin Foundation. We've got Bill Villafranco. Did I say that right?
You got it.
All right. Well, Bill, I learned a lot offline about the foundation and all the things that you are doing. And one of the craziest things I heard, or kind of the most eye-opening things, is you're one of the last people that knew her personally, that is kind of behind this organization. So talk to me about that and the importance of this to you personally before we get into Virginia's story.
Yeah. First of all, it's great to be here again. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, second time.
Yeah, it's
first for me, right? I missed it.
First for you. Virginia was a dear friend of mine. I met her in 1995 after she sold her pharmaceutical company in Seymour, Indiana, and a big liquidity event for her. Unfortunately for her, she lost her husband early on in her marriage, only 7 years into her marriage. He was a patent attorney for the Wright brothers. And in addition to a patent attorney, he was buying shares of a bankrupt pharmaceutical company in Seymour, Indiana called Central Pharmaceuticals. And after they were married, Virginia being a nurse, he put her on the board and said, one day, this company will be yours, and it'll be the how do you say it? The goose that laid the golden egg for you.
Wow.
So he knew that she had the power to run that company from bankruptcy. And she did, from 1965 to 1995.
Now, do you know what his vision was for the company? Why he saw that bankrupt company and saw so much potential in it?
I don't.
Gosh, that would be great to know, wouldn't it?
I wish I knew.
He saw something.
He saw the golden goose.
Something.
Wow.
He did see something. And he had Virginia sit on the board, and when he passed away, she became the chair. So in 1965, a little woman from Dayton, Ohio, in Seymour, Indiana, up against the big pharmaceutical companies. And she just absolutely ran that company with a solid fist. And She was a mathematic genius. So for her, it was all about numbers.
Sure.
And in the end, in 95, she sold it for $185 million. And it definitely was the goose that laid the golden egg.
That's a nice golden egg for sure.
And not just for her, by the way, because Harry, her husband, had a charitable remainder trust for Georgetown University. Why? Because his grandfather was one of the first graduates of Georgetown University. And in that charitable remainder trust sat Central Pharmaceutical stock. So when she passed, Georgetown University Medical Center was a recipient of an $87 million gift. Now, all of this stemmed from Harry's vision about Virginia sitting on the board, but then Virginia's execution of Central Pharmaceuticals. So when she became liquid, she was looking for a money manager. And I was very, very lucky to meet her from an estate planning attorney who was my mentor. And she was very deliberate in what she was looking for. She wanted to find someone who could travel the world with her, where she could teach them how she looked at philanthropy, with the hope that that person would follow through until her passing. And I was that person. And I traveled the world with her. She taught me the importance of philanthropy, but more importantly, what were the elements of a successful philanthropy grant, philanthropic gift?
Wow.
And it all comes back to values. For her, values were the single most important aspect and character of a person. If you had the right values and you had the right mission, you were a winner. If there was the right leader with values that didn't necessarily coincide with yours, you wouldn't have a winner. You might have a great charity and you might have great outcomes, but not what she looked for. She really looked for the relationship.
Wow.
So traveling around the world with her, she taught me this. And a few weeks before she passed, we were sitting in her kitchen and she explained to me that her estate plan was very, very simple. that she was leaving money to Georgetown, as I mentioned. She was leaving money to the Dayton Foundation. That's where
Which
she
was
spent
$26 million to the Dayton Foundation.
$26 million to the Dayton Foundation, correct. $87 million to Georgetown and $140 million to her private foundation.
Wow.
But the kicker was she left me no direction. She said, I know you, I've trained you, you know what I would do, and I want you to go ahead and do that. Now, that same conversation was had with her estate planner, who was the second trustee, and the third was her banker in Dayton, Ohio. And the three of us set out with $140 million and no direction.
Oof.
It was an incredible gift. And I was the lead trustee and still remain the lead trustee.
And this began in 2010?
2010.
So you're 15 years of this now, and that's kind of what you've now dedicated your life to, it would seem, correct?
Correct.
So there's a million questions that come to mind, but the one thing that seems to be glaring at me is the no direction, right? I mean, is that intentional? Is that, I mean, obviously most things she did probably were, but why do you think that was?
She believed that the world was going to change over my lifetime and beyond my lifetime. And what good would her money be if it was tied up in one area? That the world changed. And if you think about what's happening now, the world's changing constantly.
Sure.
And our giving, although structured, is changing as well. So some of the grantees or some of the organizations we're granting money to with great leadership, we may be using a different program as our granting mechanism now,
sure,
which allows us the flexibility that she gave us.
What are some of the organizations that you guys are heavily donating to currently? Why?
Yeah, we have a large concentration here in Sarasota. Virginia lived here the last 15 years of her life, but we're also around the world. We have, I'll start as far away as Bangkok, Thailand. We have a nursing school there in her name. Again, a nurse. She wanted to try to make a dent in human trafficking. So we have a school in Bangkok, Thailand that teaches abused girls for 1 year. They go to school to become a nursing assistant. They graduate with a degree. They're guaranteed a job at a hospital and housing. So we've taken away the two biggest components. After one graduates, they have a job.
The biggest two challenges.
And they have a place to live. And many of these girls, they make their money. They send most of their money back to their home village because they have enough to live on. So we're as far as Bangkok, Thailand. And here in Sarasota, we work very closely with the Sarasota Orchestra, the Opera, Girls Inc., Selby Gardens, Children's First. You're getting me on the top of my head. And there's a few more.
A lot of the known names around here, especially in the arts community, it sounds like. I know she was a fan of the arts, correct?
Big fan of the arts. But let's talk about that for just a minute. Again, the way we lean into the arts is she believed in empowering women. Her big topic with me all the time. The underdog, as she used to call them, because she was, right, when she took over Central Pharmaceutical. So in the arts, we have the largest female arts program in the country. And this is a program that we actually underwrite choreographers and playwrights. We are scholarshiped all over for women in the arts. Again, thinking about what she told me is we have to be able to pivot, to be able to move in different directions. And having money at the orchestra and the opera allows us to do that. And
the lack of direction comes into play there, right? Because you can now pivot, you can now be flexible. But you had said it, the world is changing.
Yeah.
You laid a beautiful foundation, by the way, to get into, the fact that you guys were celebrating the 100 millionth grant dollar going out. So that's amazing. I think you guys are still working through who that might be. The significance of this comes also at a time where she would have been 100 years old, correct?
Yeah, her birthday would have been last Saturday.
So you did a beautiful job of setting the stage of who Virginia is. What I'm trying to do now is set the stage on why we have you here for the second time.
Okay.
This book, so Virginia B Goes to Symphony came out, July of this year?
Yes.
And now I understand we have another book that's releasing in January.
Correct.
So now we're kind of timing it between these releases. And the third big piece is that the 100 million grant dollar is going out. The significance of this is it making the selection process a little bit more in depth for you, or is it just running through your standard process? And what is that standard process? Because I understand that, she was really big on values, but what are the values that you guys are looking for in that grant going out?
So what she taught me was there's no better way to judge a character than sitting across the table from someone. Today, there's too much Zoom going on. We don't do
Agreed.
That. We do not do that. We like to sit across from people to understand a little bit about their background.
Maybe not even a table like this, either like a dinner table where you're breaking bread together, right? That's
restaurants, anywhere.
It's the best.
We want to know who they really are and why they're doing what they're doing. What is their passion for why they're giving their soul to the charity that they're involved in. Those are very important parts of what we look for. It takes us a while to get comfortable. We like to talk to those that are benefiting. We like to be part of. So you'll see me at Girls Inc. getting my nails done with the girls. I mean, I'm involved.
I love it.
We're at camps. We're at a lot of camps where we spend time with children, either with a facial difference or with cancer treatments. That's what she taught me. And that's what we do. So this $100 million gift is really hard for me.
Okay.
It's really hard.
I kind of sensed that. That's what I wanted to ask.
I can't lie to you. She was like my mother. I went through a couple of really difficult periods in my life and she carried me through those.
Wow.
And I pay homage to her every day. And every day I think of her. So for me, this is a big gift. And this is a gift that has major significance, maybe to the world, but to me personally.
Sure.
So we're trying to figure that out right now.
Who are the front runners?
I'd rather not say. But they'll be here in Sarasota.
Okay.
That I can assure you.
Wow.
This was her community. This is the place she loved. This is the place.
Why is that? Because it was just, not just, it was the last 15 years, but was that intentional? Was she like, I always want to retire and I want to sell and have this liquidity event and I want to live in Sarasota? Or
No. She used to come down with one of her best friends and they would drive down, is it 75 from Ohio? Is that what it is?
Yep.
And they would drive down and spend a few weeks and then it became a few months and then she bought a place and then her friend Loretta would come and spend a couple of months with her and she just loved the people here. It was a much smaller community back then, right?
Even a few years ago. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so she felt like it was like Dayton. It were a lot of Midwestern people with a lot of Midwestern values.
Wow.
And she just felt very, very comfortable here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about the foundation and the $100 millionth grant, and maybe if the audience was listening keenly enough, they realized that $140 million was what she contributed to the personal foundation when she passed, and you giving out the $100 millionth dollar. So does that mean you have $40 million left? I understand it doesn't. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. We presently have approximately $150 million.
Even after giving out 100 and,
yes.
of the 140.
Yes.
Okay. So what are we doing to be so fiscally responsible, honestly, with her generous donation?
So there's only 3 trustees. And we decided we would not have an office. The overhead associated with that would just decrease the amount of money we can give to charity. Sure. And again, thinking of Virginia, we want to give as maximum amount we can each year. So there's no office space. We don't have any employees. So there's 3 trustees that get paid a trustee fee, and that's our overhead.
Wow.
So that allows us to compound the money at a higher rate because there's less money going out. Then the approach on the investment side is very simple. We believe, and I believe as the manager of the organization and the endowment, that we like to invest with concentrated money managers. So we have a concentrated growth manager, concentrated value manager. Together, you've got a portfolio of hundreds of securities, which is really the goal of diversification.
Right.
But I think the key to what we do is the money managers feel as if Virginia is watching over them. So what we like to do is we like to get those managers involved. So I speak to them frequently about the work we're doing on the money they're making us. So it's no longer someone sitting across the table saying, great job, you beat the S&P, sure. Or what happened, you greatly did not outperform the S&P. It's about, this is the money that we put to use based on what you were able to make for us. And by the way, maybe you had a bad year this year, but the other guys picked it up. And so we're still giving away, and you should still know what we're doing. And it becomes like a little family. And we have lots of great discussions. Of course, if they underperform for a period of time, we need to make a decision.
Yeah.
But we haven't had that. We've had the same money managers. We've had very little turnover since 2010. And actually from 95, we have a few managers still to this day.
Do you know how many in total you're working with?
We have 8 money managers.
Are they spread out throughout the country or?
New York, Hong Kong, LA, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the obvious question is the amount of work, right, that's being done by the organization through generous grants and things like that. There's got to be, some MVPs that are helping from the outside, or how's that all happening? How's it all being orchestrated with 3 trustees and 8 money managers?
So I sort of think I'm the conductor.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
I actually built the infrastructure, which allows us to have a reporting system which is really robust.
Okay.
We built it from the ground up for what we needed. So our reporting is simple because we're talking to these grantees quite often.
Sure.
I talk to them all the time. I visit with them often. So we know what's going on, and we have a trust level between us that they're willing to tell us if things are not going down the path that they thought, which is great because the worst thing that can happen is you give an organization money and at the end they tell you, oh, by the way, we missed it.
Right.
Where you would have wished they would have said during this process, what we thought isn't right. This is how we think we can fix it. And then they fix it or they work to fix it and you have a better outcome.
Sure.
So that's what we spend a lot of time doing, is really getting involved. So we don't have a lot of administration that one might think you would have to have. We have no board of directors that we have to report to. We have an outside lawyer who reviews our documents and our grant letters. I manage the money with an outside consultant looking over my shoulder because I'm clearly conflicted.
Sure.
I'm the lead trustee and I manage the money. So we have an independent group. And otherwise, we're just boots on the ground every day visiting charities.
I mean, that's kind of the way it should be, right?
I think so.
It definitely sounds like it's the way that Virginia would have wanted it to be. Is that the way she led her company? Is that, was she in the weeds of it all the time?
Not all the time, because she had to have management that she trusted. So because she lived in Dayton and Seymour is about 2 hours, she had a management team of 5 people that she trusted. I mean, truly trusted.
Can you tell us about some of the recent charities you visited and some of the cool experiences you had?
Yeah. So I just went to a camp in Orlando, and it was a camp for children with craniofacial differences, maybe facial scars and maybe even more severe. And I got to spend a weekend with the families. It was a camp that had just started this year. And to see these kids get to see each other for the first time, one little girl, 5 years old, I just happened to be at that moment in the same place as her, and another little girl, maybe 8 or 10, had a trach. And the little girl at 5 years old looked at her mom and said, "Hey, Mom, look, that girl's just like me.
Oh.
I've never seen someone like that."
Wow.
So those are the experiences. I volunteer at a camp in Houston for pediatric cancer. And 2 years ago, they awarded me Counselor of the Week, whatever. And so they gave me a picture with all their handprints on it. And a girl of 15 years old stood up and thanked me for coming and telling me, how wonderful it was. And then she said to me, Bill, you've made such an amazing impact on this week and in my life. I'm never going to forget you, but some of us may not be here next year. And I was just like, whoa. Like, that's what brings me home all the time is like, these are kids, right? They shouldn't have to deal with that. So that's the way we do things. And in our arts, Alexander Sanger, one of the other trustees, he is at seeing art performances all the time. And he is an incredible trustee. So again, we get to know these women really well. We get to see their pieces. And actually down here in Sarasota at the ballet, there'll be one of our young women featured in a few weeks. They're going to be one that she choreographed, sorry, a ballet. And like I saw Ian Webb, and he was so excited to tell me, and so we'll be down for that.
Is this through like a scholarship?
So this was money to the ballet to promote this young woman, to write a piece and then perform the piece.
Hey, we are having a great time getting to know more about Virginia through Bill. If you want to get to know Bill a little bit further, stay tuned for rapid fire questions fueled by food and beer.
Hey, I'm Bill Villafranco of the Virginia B. Toulmin Foundation, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions. 10 specific answers. Nothing off limit. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by food and beer. You can only choose one. Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Coffee, tea, bourbon. What's your favorite?
Coffee.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
What song do you play when you need to get pumped up?
We Are the Champions.
Have you ever played a musical instrument? Or do you think you're a guitar hero?
Fortunately not.
What's your favorite board game?
Don't play them.
Oh, there it is.
Whether it's Creed or Debbie Gibson, what's your favorite karaoke song?
Maybe Stairway to Heaven.
And when she gets there, she knows if the stars are all closed.
Do you call it soda, pop, or cola?
Soda.
Definitely soda, soda, not Pops. Pops is no, that's my grandfather, Pops.
What's your favorite show to binge watch?
MASH. MASH would be my favorite binge show.
Besides automated dog walkers, what do you think AI is going to look like in 10 years?
Fun.
You think that flexing your little biceps makes you scary? Honey, I've been lifting sitcom ratings since before you were potty trained.
If you were a British king or queen, what would you decree?
National Children's Day.
So you have all this money to give away to charities. You're looking for the right charity to give away to. I understand there's an interview process, but how does that process begin when you want to select a charity to interview?
It usually starts from an introduction from someone we know. It could be a charity we're already funding. It could be a charity that we no longer fund because we do take some time off so we can rotate our charities. It could be a friend, family member. It could be from someone that heard about us. But usually we like to know the people that are suggesting we speak to that charity because then the values are already lined up.
Sure.
Right. And it makes that a lot easier.
So word of mouth is powerful in your industry.
It's the only way we work. It's the only way we work.
Now you mentioned that you have to pull back the money sometimes. Yeah. How does that work out? How does that feel? How does that play out? Who makes that decision and how do you deliver the decision?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Because the work they're doing is really important. But we give them plenty of lead time.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of an organization called Painted Turtle in California, an amazing organization. It's a camp for children with different disabilities and disease types. It's a Paul Newman hole-in-the-wall camp. And I got to know the founder very, very well. And after 6 years, I had to tell her, next year, we're going to take a year off. It doesn't mean we can't come back and we won't come back. But I think you want us to look at other charities too. And she agreed. And we've had the grace of your money for 5 years. And the 6th year, I think it's time. So we took a year off and we're revisiting this year. So it's important that we have that value system built in with the people we're donating and giving money to. So it's not a surprise. It's not as if they did something wrong. It's all part of the process. And the truth is they respect that. As long as you're honest with them and you tell them it's not anything you did wrong.
Yeah.
We need to rotate once in a while.
Or sometimes maybe it is something they did wrong. It could be, right? And that's a conversation that still needs to be had. Yeah.
We've been super lucky. We haven't had that. And I think
probably has to do with your selection process and the value system.
Yeah. The value system.
When it comes to, which is a great question because, I think that, and I'm just going to speak from personal experience. We're trying to raise money for the Make-A-Wish walk I was telling you about, and that was an incredible experience to be able to be the presenting sponsor for the Make-A-Wish Walk for Wishes, and that stemmed from a podcast episode. They're on the podcast. We're learning about the organization, and hey, let's get behind it, right? But sometimes when you're raising money, and I know because I was just raising some money for that organization, people are like instantly, and I had this happen probably 3 or 4 times. It's like, I got to look in to see how legitimate this charity is, right? And that's just a common thing because of the misuse of funds in charitable organizations and such. So, obviously part of the vetting process and what you do is to make sure that money is going where it needs to be going. But what is the nature of a grant, and how, like, from somebody that's not involved with a whole lot of charitable organizations, how structured does the plan for deploying that capital as the 501c3 have to be? Like, what are you looking for from them once they've made it to, basically the table with you to talk about what they're going to do or what they're trying to accomplish?
So first, we're going to look at their mission to see if it fits within our pillars. So our pillars are women in the arts, it's women, families, and children, and it's medical research. Medical research being that's where Virginia made her fortune.
Okay.
Women in the arts, she loved arts, and she loved to help women. So women in the arts just fit. And then children, she never had children. And I was maybe her surrogate son or one of them. So for her, family was very important. She's very close with her brother, her only sibling, and all of her cousins. It was what she lived for. So we first want to make sure that the charity is respected, and there are places out there like different kind of reporting systems that you can use to find out, like Charity Navigator and others. That doesn't really tell you the story. The real story are talking to other donors, and that's the key down here. The key down here is if you're in the right network, you can hear from the donors why they give their money to that organization.
It tells you everything.
It tells you anything you need to know.
Yeah.
And then when you're questioning the organization, you can go back to that person and say, hey, I'm kind of feeling this right now. What's going on there? And they'll be honest, right? Because we're all in this together. So down here, it's very, very unique. It's a really great
And you mean
network.
Sarasota in specific, not just like Florida, but like specifically Sarasota.
It's very unique in the way the world works here. And it's very advantageous for everyone, because if the charity is doing what they say they're going to do, and they're really well run with the right values, then the right people are going to be there, and then everyone talks. And it's a really great, healthy conversation.
Do you have any theories on why it's like that in Sarasota versus other places?
I do. I think it all started years and years and years ago. When Virginia came, there weren't a lot. And there weren't a lot of potential donors.
There wasn't, the philanthropic efforts weren't as strong as they are
Not now,
here.
right? So it was a clique of people,
Sure.
right? And so they together marched in, and together they got to look at and hear from. And if one was doing something and the others weren't, then they would rush to find out why and what is going on. And most of the time they followed each other and what they did. And then it sort of expanded out where they couldn't always be together, but they would talk about it and learn from each other. I mean, it's what Virginia taught me. And I think that's what happened. And I think it happens still, but it's so much bigger now.
Yeah. Well, their impact has been spread across generations and multiple different people that had that same feeling, like, what are they doing? And how can I get involved, or how can I do the same? Right. We were sitting across from Catherine Harris and Margaret Wise when we learned that Sarasota per capita is one of the, or if not the most philanthropic community. So I think that probably plays into it a little bit as well. Like, there's a lot of giving here. And because of that, there's a culture, a kind of behind the scenes culture of, a lot of people that are giving, talking about that giving and why it makes sense, or maybe sometimes why it doesn't make sense.
100%.
So I think maybe I was impacted by understanding that, and also some success, just feeling like it's necessary to, give back, right? Like, which brings me back to another question. I want to get in the book in a few as well, but when it comes to Virginia's heart for philanthropy, was that always a thing? Was it because somebody kind of gave her a gift, and then that usually has a profound impact. It makes you want to turn around and do the same thing. Where do you feel like, and of course it's opinion, but where do you feel like her heart for philanthropy comes from?
I think it was her upbringing. She was very religious. She was in a family with a number of different ministers. And I think that really grounded her. Also, her grandfather died when she was young, and her grandmother moved in. And there's something about a grandma teaching you. And that's what the book is all about. It's about an experience with grandma going to her first symphony and the joy and how she felt about it, but more importantly, how grandma felt about it. Wow. Being able to treat her to her first symphony and having, I'm not going to spoil the book, but going for tea before. And like, you just feel that love. And I think that's where it all started, her empathy, her understanding, her compassion. Look, I lost a son, and she just helped me through that entire tragedy. She never, ever left me alone for very long. She called me every day. And that turned into an everyday conversation I had with her over the rest of her years. And when she died, that one on her day that she died, I'll never forget calling her at 7 a.m. on a Sunday, and she never picked up, which was very strange. I thought maybe she went to church earlier, maybe she went for breakfast, and then I kept calling until later did I learn that she passed away in her sleep. So I think it was her upbringing that was a big, big part of what made Virginia, Virginia.
What year is the book set in?
Oh, good question. She is 1930s, late 1930s.
Okay. So I understand that you guys the foundation has already given away a couple thousand copies of this book. What's the plan for this book as it relates to Virginia and her legacy? And how is this going to, solve for that? In other words,
this book, I love this book for a few reasons. It was intended to be a children's book where a parent would read the story to their child, maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. Well, my dad lives with me. He's 89. And, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you about his suit. So he bought a suit from Tweeds when we were down here this summer. And he intended to wear it to my oldest daughter's wedding 2 weeks ago. And he put it on and he was lit up. He was like, this is amazing. He never had a custom suit in his life.
Oh, wow.
And he looked amazing. And he got on a dance floor with my daughter and he was beaming and he was telling everyone about his suit. Now, maybe I'm pretty happy about it because he told everyone I bought it for him. So that was kind of a plus for me. But he looked great. And, they did a great job.
Congrats on marrying off your daughter as well.
3 out of 4 gone, 1 left. And then I got my little ones. So back to the book. So he read it and he came out of his bedroom and said, what I loved about this book? What'd you love about this book? He said, it reminded me the importance of family. The importance of how Virginia grew up with her grandmother and how she baked her favorite dessert with her, crumb cake, and how she would run home and be with her grandma and how her grandmother spoke German to her. And he said, Billy, this book is not for just children. This book is for everyone. Wow. Right now, this book is what we need. And I just thought of it, and he wrote a beautiful he sent a beautiful write-up on it to us. And it seems that others that have read it have said similar things. It was a beautiful book. It's just not about Virginia. It's about family and the importance of family and how events in your life unfold that change who you are. Yeah. So her first symphony was with her grandmother. And she ended up loving the symphony. She sat on the board here. She was the board chair of the
1936.
Yeah.
1936.
Sarasota Orchestra. I mean, you think about the trajectory of her life, but all started from that one visit with her grandma.
Well, not only her life, after her life, because
we're still continuing.
Yeah. Well, and you said something, you took the words right out of my mouth, is the, a moment in time can have such a profound impact. And, I think that the reason why this book could be for everybody in a lot of ways too, is because we oftentimes go through life, kind of just going through the motions, and we're not, maybe Virginia doesn't have the profound impact or experience a profound impact that this event had if she wasn't, in her youth, right? In her childhood days, where you're much more open to it, the idea, and, but as we grow a little older, we start to walk through life and we don't really we're not looking for these profound moments to change our life. And I think that when we take the approach of hey, at any moment, everything could change. And everything I feel and everything I, am going after, it can be brought to such a different level if I just meet one person, or if I just walk through one set of doors, or if I just, hear one story that could change everything. And when you look through life in that lens, you're constantly going to be profoundly impacted, and you're going to make a profound impact. So I'm excited to read it. I'll be honest with you, Bill, because I really am. Symphony's not my jam, right? And going to the Symphony is not my jam, but the way that you just described it gave me a lot of excitement to read this.
But you value family.
I do value family.
So important, yeah.
I was kind of getting teary-eyed over here just you saying it, because we all get so very sidetracked with, life, especially in business. It's like you put the family aside sometimes, and thankfully you've seen firsthand that I don't do that often. The reason I missed the last podcast was to be at that baseball game that I was coaching. So, I believe in that, but it's great to be reminded, right? It really is important. So, with that being said, the new book release, the new book that's coming out in January. I mean, this book may be hard to top, but why is the book in January so significant?
So this is an 8-part series.
Oh, great.
It's all about building her legacy, right? So I'm the last one that knew her. And when I go, if the legacy is not built, who will remember Virginia Toulmin? So we are working very hard at using this as a tool, one of the many tools we have, and that we're working to develop to allow her legacy to live beyond me. So one of the things we've done recently is with Girls Inc. and with Young Chef Academy. So Virginia's favorite dessert was coffee cake. And we went to...
Is that dessert, though? Like,
it's pretty sweet.
It's kind of like breakfast sometimes.
Sometimes. It could be dessert sometimes.
Okay.
So Dale Hoffman, who works with us and introduced
we love
us.
Dale.
Yeah, me too. She's incredibly talented. So she spoke to the people at Young Chef Academy and came up with the idea of there was something called National Coffee Cake Day. And we would work with them in developing a program to have the girls from Girls Inc., 10 girls, age 10, 9, 10, 11, to start a cohort of Virginia B. Toulmin culinary scholars. And they would go to Young Chef Academy once a month and learn culinary skills. But the first thing they would make is
coffee cake.
And we had an amazing day. And it was so beautiful for me. Now, those girls will graduate and receive a jacket with Virginia B. Toulmin on the jacket. And the beauty of that is I can only envision many years from now that young girl, now a mother herself, in the kitchen with her daughter or son, making something and saying, wait, I remember I learned how to chop this way from Young Chef Academy. Wait, I have my jacket that I earned in my closet.
How cool.
And now Virginia comes to life again. So these little things that we're starting to plant are incredibly important to building her legacy. At the Opera House, they had a family opera day, and I think we gave away 250 some odd books to the families, and the youth opera sang for us, and I was there with my dad and my wife and my 2 little ones, and I saw my dad beaming because my little ones, who had never been to an opera before, were so happy to be with him. And it's another thing we're working on, multi-generational giving. There's going to be a shift in money when our grandparents or others of that age pass away. And the next generation may not have the same interests. Mm-hmm. So it's really important that we teach the younger generation, right, the second generation from the grandparents, the importance of symphonic music or the opera or the arts, because they have an opportunity then to make a difference. So all about Virginia's legacy, we're putting in these little tiny ideas into people's mind about who she was. And the book is one of them.
And this series continues 8 more books or 7 more books, I guess. And is it kind of chronological order of her life?
Yeah.
So it's a pseudo biography, but more
biographical
fun.
Fiction.
Right. Okay.
Some are some of the facts in there are facts, and some are what we believe or perceive.
Sure.
They were from stories that we've heard. The author's fantastic. He was
here last time, right?
He was here last time. Yeah. He's an incredible writer, but he does a lot of research. So he just did a little clip on one of the social media platforms on this book, and he goes back to where she lived. He has a picture of where she lived and the school she went to, and just incredible. I love it. I've read this book a few times.
No, that's a very
cool.
That's a very unique way to tell the story. And you talked about the little young chef's academy and the mom and child maybe making coffee cake in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then all of these things come. And I picture that child of the mom who went to Young Chef Academy saying, oh yeah, I learned this through, the Toulmin Foundation program, and the kid asking the question of like, well, who's Virginia? Who is this? And it's like, well, I can show you, I can tell you who Virginia is through this, right?
Or maybe at that time, the 8 books.
Right. This one's
all 8
from for all 8.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. I just have a quick off the wall question. It's not that off the wall, but I just want to know, being born and raised in Sarasota, I wasn't huge into the arts growing up. Really, this podcast has enlightened me in a lot of ways, right? The charitable giving, of course, being huge, and also the arts community, just being introduced to the arts community and being so proud of where I'm from. And I do love the arts now. I don't have the best taste in them because I'm still getting experience. That being said, learning a lot about Sarasota through our guests and such. But growing up Virginia, and I don't mean any offense by this, but Virginia Toulmin wasn't a name that I heard often, wasn't a name that I heard frequently. And I want to know from you why you think it's important that we change that in Sarasota, and why you think that her name should be known, and regardless of whether you're super involved in the arts or, through one of these organizations.
So the reason why she wasn't, you never heard much about her is she never wanted her name anywhere.
Okay.
Right? She had opportunities to have her name on buildings. She chose not to. She believed that you can be silent and make a bigger impact at times than if you're louder or you have your name on a building. Now, there's reasons why her name is on some donor or patron walls, because she believed that might encourage others. But other than that, she was a very, very private person. I need to change that.
Yeah.
I need to change that because she truly is a pioneer. I don't know how many people that that would leave their a family fortune to 3 people with no direction. 0.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not only that she should be known here in Sarasota, she should be known around the country as one of the greatest female philanthropists in the history of the world. Not for what she did during her lifetime, but what she's doing after she's passed. And what she's doing after she passed is giving and trusting people to find those opportunities where the world is screaming for help and going there. And there aren't many people out there that you can ever hear about that have done that.
Yeah.
Right? You hear about the Gates Foundation, you hear about all the other big foundations, and they're doing amazing work, but they're spearheaded in one thing or a few things, and that's it. And they will not deviate from that.
When the biggest difference is you hear about those foundations because you knew the name, right? In Virginia's case, I'm hearing about the foundation after before knowing the name, right? So the foundation stands out above just what she did in her personal life. And I mean that with a lot of respect, all the respect. It really is incredible as somebody that loves thinking about legacy and, how I might one day have a legacy and how I might go about that. This is inspiring. So I really appreciate it. And the reason I asked that question is because, being so rooted and committed to my community, I really want to join you in changing that. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing the story. And we'd love to have you on, 7 more times when we get the next copy and the next copy and so on and so forth.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You two are great.
You got any closing remarks you want to?
I just want to thank you too. It's a privilege to be here, and I don't take it lightly. Telling her story means a lot to me, and having now friends like you are really important, and it's going to really help me get to where I want to go to with her legacy.
You do a great job conveying your story, and you can tell it's very heartfelt on your end. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, thank you.